शरीरे अर्पितभूत सूक्ष्म कालात्मिकां शक्तिम् उदीरयान उवास तस्मिन् सलिलेपदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणे रुद्धवीर्य. It's like the strength of fire within fuel word. The Lord remained within the water of dissolution, submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. He lay in the self-invigorated energy called Kala. अथ क्रमसन्दर्भः अथ विभूतिकथनाय तद्दैव पुराणं प्रवर्तयति. Now, in order to describe the opulences or the opulent creation of the Lord, he begins to uh, introduce that very Purana, the Srimad Bhagavata Purana. उदाप्लुतमित्यादिना विश्वमत्र लोकत्रयं स्वन्तरिति भूतसूक्ष्म इत्यत्र लीनपार्थिवांश तन्मात्रसहितानि त्रैलोक्यगतजीवानां लिङ्गशरीराणि एव ज्ञेयानि. So the three worlds, they were submerged. Bhuta Sukshma here, the material elements and the subtle elements. This here, it indicates that the subtle bodies of the jivas within the three worlds, they along with the tanmatras, sound, touch, form, taste, smell, material, sound, touch, form, taste, smell, as well as the earth element were merged in him. No, they were merged in, yes, they were merged. यान्येव समष्टिलिङ्गशरीरम् इत्युच्यते त्रिलोकात् बहिर्जलादीनां विद्यमानत्वात्. And all those subtle bodies put together is referred to as the collective subtle body. Trilokat Bahir Jaladina Vidyamanatvat, and water and the other elements, they were actually found outside of the three worlds. Tesham Antashharire Arpanartham Eva Kalatmikam Ityadi Jalastambhana Shaktya Jalabhyantare Shayitatva Bahistitanam Mahar Lokadi Vasinam Drishti of Vishayatva. This is also a very complicated description of this phase of creation. Tasmad Yugantash Vasana Avapurna Jalomi Chakra Salilat Virudham Apashritah Kanjamiti Vakshamanatva Cha Araladrishtanta Sangamaniyaha. No. It is talking about some Jalastambhana technology and all, which I don't follow. No, this is beyond me. Let me see if Krishna Chaitanya Thakur makes it clearer. Nano Trailokya Gadanam Jivanam Tada Kavarta. What happened to the jivas who were within the three worlds? Ityataha Antasharire. What is this? Something is wrong here. Antasharire. Swasharira Madhye. What is all this? Wow. शरीर मध्ये एव अर्पितानि भूतसूक्ष्मानि त्रैलोक्यगतदेवमनुष्यादि सूक्ष्मशरीराणि येन सह. So Bhuta Sukshma indicates that within his body were the subtle bodies of the Devas, Manushyas, and so on, who are within the three worlds. Yena prakarena, how is that? Ityataha kalatmikam kalarupam swashaktim udirayan prerayan. The Lord impelled his potency in the form of Kala. Tadikchavasha pralaya arambha kalena eva, by the force of his desire, at the beginning of pralaya, dissolution itself, Trilokasthanam sarvesham stula sharirani dhuhamsayatva linga sharirani bhagavad sharire arpitani. The gross bodies of everyone within the three worlds were destroyed, and the subtle bodies were placed inside the Supreme Personality of Godhead's body. Yanyeva samashtilinga shariram ahur ityarthaha. That is what is referred to as the collective subtle body. Evam bhutaha sa swepade patalatale swasthane salile ekarnava udak plute api. Now, even though he was under the single ocean, in the water of the single ocean, Jalastambhana Shaktya Vasa. He froze, not in the sense of making it cold. There is some, I've come across this expression, Jalastambhana. It is some method of stopping the water from functioning. So the Lord, he resides inside the water of the single ocean, Ekadana, using that potency of Jalasambhana. Tatachya Maharlokadivasinam Drishtya Vishayatve Tasya Drishtanta Yathanalaiti. Now, the residents of Maharloka and up, they are unable to see this. Therefore, there is the example that is given here. Just like the strength of fire within fuel wood. After the three worlds, the upper, lower, and middle planetary systems merged into the water of dissolution, the living entities of all the three worlds remained in their subtle bodies, by dint of the energy called Kala. In this dissolution, the gross bodies became unmanifest, but the subtle bodies existed just like the water of the material creation. Thus, the material energy was not completely wound up, as is the case in the full dissolution of the material world. Okay. Chaturjuganam cha sahasramapsu swapan swayodhirithaya swashaktya kalakshaya sadhitakarma tantro lokan apitan tadrishe swadehe. The Lord lay down for 1,000 cycles of 4 years in his internal potency, and by his external energy, he appeared to be sleeping within the water. When the living entities were coming out for further development of their fruitive activities, actuated by the energy called Kala Shakti, he saw his transcendental body as bluish. Chaturivana Sahasram Cha Swaya Apsu Swapan. Is there Swapan here? Swapan. Udhirataya. Kalakshaya Swashaktya Asadita Karma Tantra. Swadehe Lokan Apitan Nadrishe. Okay. स्वया चिच्छक्त्या सह वर्तमान एव योगनिद्रया स्वपन् पूर्वमेव बोधनार्थं नियुक्तया स्वकालशक्त्या आसादितं प्रापितं कर्मतन्त्रं क्रिया कलापः यस्य सः. So he was present with his Chit-Shakti, his spiritual potency. And through Yoganidra, he was sleeping in the past. Now, in order to wake him up, the activities of these conditioned souls, they were now brought together by the force of his Kala Shakti. These living entities were merged inside his body, and he saw that. Swapnanantaram, this is after the Lord woke up. Evam kiyantam kalam sa vishashrama. For how long was he sleeping, resting, anticipating this question? This is brought up. Swaya chit shaktiya jagratya saha jagradapi swapan maya shaktya shayitaya saha shayana evetyartha. So he was awake with his spiritual potency, who was awake. And then he was, he had closed his eyes, he had gone to sleep, along with his Maya Shakti. Tatascha pralaya avasana samaye. So at the end of dissolution, at that time, swashaktya kalakshaya asaditam bhogadyartham samyojitam swantasthita jiveshu prati swa karmatantram yena saha. Now the jivas were inside his body, in order to bring about their ability to enjoy and suffer their respective karmic reactions, by the force of his potency known as Kala, ततश्च लोकानपि ब्रह्मादिस्थावराः तानपि इत्यान् सूक्ष्मरूपेण स्वस्मिन् प्राप्तान्. What is this तानपि? It's not like this. तान्, not इत्यान्. सूक्ष्मरूपेण स्वस्मिन् प्राप्तान् ददृशे. So then he saw the subtle bodies of all the worlds, of everyone, from Brahma down to the immovable living entities. Swasharirat nishkriyamayitu atibhavaha. He wanted to bring about all these living entities, bring them out of his body. That is the indication. In the Vishnu Purana, the Kala Shakti is mentioned as avidya. The symptom of the influence of the Kala Shakti is that one has to work in the material world for fruitive results. The fruitive workers are described in the Bhagavad Gita as moodhas or fools. Such foolish living entities are very enthusiastic to work for some temporary benefit within perpetual bonding. One thinks himself very clever throughout his life if he is able to leave behind him a great asset of wealth for his children. And to achieve this temporary benefit, he takes the risk of all kinds of sinful activities without knowledge that such activities will keep him perpetually bound by the shackles of material bondage. This point is brought out in this very canto in the teachings of Lord Kapila. Due to this polluted mentality and due to all the sins, the aggregate combination of living entities appear to be bluish. Such an impetus of activity for fruitive results is made possible by the dictation of the external energy of the Lord, Kala Shakti. 13. तस्यार्थ सूक्ष्माभिनिविष्ट दृष्टेर अंतर्गतोर्थो रजसातनीयान् गुणेन कालानुगतेन विद्ध सूक्ष्यं तदाभिद्यतनाभिदेशात्. The subtle subject matter of creation on which the Lord's attention was fixed was agitated by the material mode of passion, and thus the subtle form of creation pierced through his abdomen. लोकदृष्ट्यर्थम अर्थसूक्ष्मे अभिनिविष्टा दृष्टि यस्य. So the Supreme Lord's glance was focused on creation now. He was looking at the subtle and he was thinking how to bring it out, bring out all the living entities into the gross platform so that they can perform their activities which they want to do. कालानुसारिणा रजोगुणेन विद्धः सक्षोभितः सन् तनीया अतिसूक्ष्मः अर्थः सूष्य प्रसोष्यन् उद्भविष्य नाभिदेशात् उद्भूतः. So now this subtle portion of creation that the Lord was glancing at became agitated by the material mode of passion in line with the Kala Shakti. It was very, very subtle, but it pierced through his abdomen. It came out of his abdomen. Sushman swakaryam janayishyan abhidyata udbhutah pravriddhah. So it started developing. Uktaposhanyayenaha. Now this is an elaboration of what has been stated. Tasya Narayanasya artha sukshmeshu sarvajiva linga deheshu abhinavishta निष्कासन इच्छया प्रविष्टा दृष्टि यस्य तस्य तदंतर्गत एवार्थः. The Supreme Lord, he glanced at the subtle bodies of all the living entities which were very subtle. Prakrita padartha visheshah taniyati sukha api. Even though this was very subtle, it is a material object. Kalanusarina rajasa gunena vidha. It was agitated by Rajoguna in line with the Kala Shakti. Tatacha Sushyan, Pasosyan, Avidesha, the Vidya, the Urdhvam, Pasasa. It came out of his abdomen. 14. Sapadmapurusha Sahasoda Tishtat Kalena Karma Pratibodhanena Swarocisha Tat Salilam Vishalam Vidyotayan Narka Ivatmayoni. Piercing through the Lord's abdomen. This sum total form of the fruitive activities of the living entities took the shape of the bud of a lotus flower, generated from the personality of Vishnu. And by his supreme will, it illuminated everything, like the sun, and dried up the vast waters of devastation. The Tanyanartha Padmakosha Sun Udatishta, that very subtle substance, it took the shape of the bud of a lotus and it stood up. Karmani Jiva Adrishtani Prati Prabodhayati Yaha Kalaha Tena. And it started functioning because of the time potency of the Lord, which activated the karma of these jivas, which means that it activated the adrishta, the unseen karmic reactions of the living entities, which will now cause them to begin to act in various ways by which they can experience the results. Atma Shri Vishnu Yonir, yes, yeah. And all of this came from Lord Shri Vishnu Narayana. Padma Koshoyam Narayana Napik Kamala Anyeva Jataha Prakrita Arthamayatvat. This bud of the lotus is material. It is not the same as the lotus navel of Lord Narayana, because it is material. Sachartha Kalena Padmakoshaha San Udatishtat Pralayamaharnava Jaladapi Urthu Pradeshe Tastho Karma Jiva Adrishyani Pratibodhayati Tena Atma Shri Vishnu Yonihi Yasyasa Arka Iveti Swaprabhaya Sa Vyakashad Iti Tad Prakashanartham Prakantara Pariksha Nasti Iti Bhava. It started shining like the sun. It didn't need a sun. Vyakasha. It shone over this water. 1 minute. Let me just also. Look at Dr. Siddhartha Thakur's explanation. Atmayonihi, Atma Shri Vishnu, Yonihi Yashyasa, Saha Tanyanartha, Karma Pratibodhayana Kalena Padmakosha San, Arkaha, Ravihiva, Swarochisha, Swaprabhaya, Tat Vishalam Salilam, Ekarna Salila, Vidyotayam, Prakashayam Sahasa, Udadishtat Avirbhuva. जीव गणेर अदृष्ट प्रकाशक काल कर्तृक प्रेरित सूक्ष्म पदार्थ विशेष पद्मकोश आकारे परिणत हो. So this subtle substance impelled by Kala, which activates or which reveals the unseen karmic reactions of the jivas, transformed into the form of a lotus bud. वहाँ सूर्य नाय विजिकांति द्वारा प्रलयकालीन विशाल जलराशि के उद्भासित हो गया. And then it shone on the extensive waters of dissolution through its own illumination. Suddenly appeared. Shri Vishnu e Padma Kosher Uppatti Karan. And it is Lord Shri Vishnu who was the cause of this lotus bud. Talloka Padmam Aueva Vishnu Pravishat Pravivishat Sarva Gunava Bhasam. Tasmin Swayam Vedam Mayo Vidhata Swayam Bhuvam Yam Smam Vadanti Sobhut. Into that universal lotus flower, Lord Vishnu personally entered as a super soul, and when it was thus impregnated with all the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was generated. Ooh, Sarvaguna Avabhasam, Tat Lokapadmam, Saiva Vishnu Pravi Vishat. So that very Lord Sri Vishnu, he entered into that uh, lotus, which was actually all the worlds put together. And uh, it began to reveal the modes of material nature, which means that it was a reservoir of all the modes of material nature, which actually means that all the various objects of experience, gross objects of experience for the living entities, all of that is going to be revealed now. So the Supreme Lord, Sri Vishnu, he entered into it, which means he did not reveal all of his potencies, but he entered into it in the form of its inner ruler. Tasmin swayameva vedamaya sah vidhata abhut yam swayam bhuvam vadanti sma. And in that lotus, which was presided over by Lord Vishnu, the personification of the Veda, who is well known as the creator Brahma, he appeared. And because no one has, no learned person, even learned persons have seen his father, they refer to him as the self-born, Swayambhu. तल्लोकात्मकं पद्मं सर्वान् गुणान् जीवभोग्यानर्थान् अभासयति इति तथा तद् यस्मात् जातं स एव विष्णुः. The source of that lotus was Lord Vishnu. U iti sambodhane. U is used to address Vidura. Pravi Vishat Prakarshena Alupta Shaktir Eva Antaryami Taya Vivesha. He did not reveal all of his capacities, but he entered into it in the form of the Antaryami, the inner ruler. Tasmin Vishnuna Adhishkite Padme Vidhata Brahma Katham Bhuta Swayameva Vedamaya Natu Athyayanena Prapta Veda. He is himself filled with the Vedas. He is the personification of Veda. He did not attain the Vedas through study. He did not attain Vedic knowledge in that manner. So, who's that? Adrishtaputrittvena Swayam Swayambhuvam Vadanti Saha. Because his father has not been seen, he is known as Swayambhu. Prak Kalpante Narayana Saha Nidraya Eki Bhuta Asit. At the end of the previous Kalpa, along with Lord Narayana, at the time of sleep, he had merged into him, he had merged into Narayana. तस्मिंश्च प्रबुद्धे तथैव पाद्मे कल्पे पद्मद्वारेण अभिव्यक्तिं प्राप्त इत्यर्थः. And when Lord Narayana woke, or when he woke, when Brahma himself woke, therefore it is known as Padmakalpa. He became manifested through that lotus. So Garbhodakashayi eva Vishnu Rupassan. This is the reference to Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Lord Brahma came about in order to actually create the substances made of gross matter, such as pots, pans, and so on. from earth and the other elements. ततश्च तत् लोकपद्मं लोकात्मकं विराजम् इत्यर्थः. So this is the Virat. स एव प्रलयारम्भे यस्य उदरमेव वैराजः सूक्ष्मरूपेण प्राविशत्. At the beginning of the dissolution, this very Virat had entered in a subtle form into his belly. Prayante cha tatah padma rupena avirbhuta vairajaha. So then it came out in the form of the lotus at the end of dissolution. Saeva garbhodashayi pravi vishat. Triyamittvena pravivesha. So this Garbhodakshaya Vishnu entered into that lotus. Padmam Kidrisham Sarvesham Gunanam Karyanam Jiva Bhogyanam Swarga Naraka Adinam Avapasa Prakashayatra. And that lotus, it reveals the effects of the gunas, which means it reveals the objects of experience of the jiva, which means Swarga, Naraka, and all of these worlds are going to be manifested. Tasmin Padme Vidhata Brahma Abhut. And in that lotus, the creator Brahma, he came up. Osau Adrishtapitrittvena yam swayambhuvam vadanti sah. Prakalpante Narayanena saha nidreyaki bhuta asit. Tasmin prabuddhe ateva padmadvarena vivyakta ityartha. Atra स्थूलः वैराजः सूक्ष्मः हिरण्यगर्भः सृष्ट्यादिकर्ता चतुर्मुखः इति ब्रह्मण एव त्रैरूप्यं ज्ञेयम्. So now it should be understood that Brahma has three forms. The gross form is the Vairaja or the Virat. The subtle form is Hiranyagarbha. And Chaturmukha is his third form. In the form of Chaturmukha, engages in creation and so on. This lotus flower is the universal Virat form or the gigantic form of the Lord in the material world. It becomes amalgamated in the personality of Godhead Vishnu in his abdomen at the time of dissolution. And it becomes manifest at the time of creation. This is due to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who enters into each of the universes. In this form is the sum total of all the fruitive activities of the living entities conditioned by material nature. And the first of them, namely Brahma, the controller of the universe, is generated from this lotus flower. This firstborn living being, unlike all the others, has no material father. And thus he is called self-born or Swayambhu. He goes to sleep with Narayana at the time of devastation. And when there is another creation, he is born in this way. From this description, we have the conception of three entities: the gross Virat form, the subtle Hiranyagarbha, and the material creative force Brahma. 16. Tasyam sachambho ruhakarnikayam avastito lokam apashyamana parikraman vyomni vivritta netras chatvari lebhe no disham mukhani. Brahma, born out of the lotus flower, could not see the world, although he was situated in the world. He therefore circumambulated all of space. And while moving his eyes in all directions, he achieved four heads in terms of the four directions. Tasyam, Ambhoruha Karnikayam, Kavala Karnika Madhya Avastita Sacha Sa Brahma Lokam Dvitiyam Apashyamanaham Anavalokaya. Now that this Brahma is now situated within that, within the world of that lotus. He could not see anyone else. He could not see the world, which means he could not see anyone second. He was only one there. Vyomni akashe vivritta netraha loka nirikshanartham vivritte vichalite netre yasisai. Opened his eyes widely and he started looking all over the space. Parikraman tatrasteva grivam chalayan. And he circumambulated. He circumambulated by being situated in that very place. He did not, he just turned his neck in all the directions. He just looked around in all the directions. Anudisham chaturdikshu now. Chatvari mukhani. And for each direction, he attained one head. Tasmin kalpe chaturmukha bhu. So then he attained 4 phases in that kalpa. Parikramams tatrastha eva grivayam cha alayan lokan nirikshnartham. He was looking in all the 4 directions because he wanted to see if there's anybody else there. Vritte, vicharite netre, with wide eyes. Tatraiva parikraman brahman, vritta netra shwasan yugapat chaturudishaha. Dashina utkanthaya chatvari mukhani lebhi. So with wide eyes, he was sighing, and simultaneously 4 heads came about. And he was looking, and he found in the sky there's nobody. He was casting his glance in all the 4 directions, and he got 4 heads. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhuji, this these 3 forms are 3 forms of Brahmaji or 3 forms of Brahman? Because Virat for
Lord Brahma, the creator, Vidhata, the Jivatma, Brahma.
so how can Virat be his one of his forms? Because Virat Purusha is actually Lord's form.
No, Virat Purusha is Lord Vishnu in the sense that he is the inner controller of the universe. But he is the super soul of Brahma. In Brahma's capacity of controlling the universe, it is Brahma's body.
Okay.
Brahma's extended body. You can say it like that.
Okay, bro.
Just like we have a body, and inside our body we have all these worms and all these creatures are there. So it's not very surprising. 17. Tasmad yuganta shvasanavagurunha jalormi chakrat salilad virudham upashitah kanjam ulokatattvam natvanam adha vidadadideva. Lord Brahma, situated in that lotus, could not perfectly understand the creation, the lotus or himself. At the end of the millennium, the air of devastation began to move the water and the lotus in great circular waves. Aho, Adidevasta Brahma, Yuganta Shwasanava Gurana Jalormi Chakra, Yuganta Shwasana, Pralayavali, Tena Avaghuranam, Tatra Tatra Prakampitam, Tat Jalam, Tasmat Sarvata Urmit Chakram, Taranga Samuha, Yasmin Tasmat Salilan Virudham, Udgatam, Kanjam, Padmam, Apashita, Tatra Uposhta Api Sakalyena Tatkanjam Logatatvam Atmanam Cha Antva Sakshadna Avidya Yatavan. So he was the first of the Devas, Brahma. And he saw all of these things happening. The air of devastation, it was bringing about waves in the water. And this lotus on which he was seated, that began to tremble. So he saw the lotus, he saw that the waves around him, he saw that he is on top of this lotus. But still, he could not see that lotus in its entirety, nor could he see the mystery of this creation. He could not even understand himself. तस्य श्री नारायण उपासनया एव आविर्भूत ज्ञान क्रिया शक्तेः लोककर्तृत्वं न स्वतः इति वक्तुं प्रथमं तस्य विमोहमाह. There's a reason why Shukadeva Goswami, or rather Maitreya, is bringing out this description here. First of all, he points out that Brahma was completely bewildered because he wants to point out that Brahma created the world not because of his intrinsic capacity, but when he engaged in the meditation of Lord Sri Narayana, Then he developed the capacity to understand and act as appropriate. That is now being conveyed from this verse. Tasmat salilat virudham udgatam kanjam upashriyah. Upashritah अपि साकल्येन तत् कञ्चं लोकतत्त्वं च आत्मानं च साक्षात् न ज्ञातवान् उ इति विस्मये. The word u indicates astonishment. This is a matter of great astonishment. कथं भूतात् युगान्तश्वसनः प्रलयवायुस्तेन विघूर्णं तत्र तत्र कंपितं यस्मात् सर्वतो विचक्रम यस्मिन्. Lord Brahma was perplexed about his creation, the lotus and the world, even though he tried to understand them for 1 millennium, which is beyond calculation in the solar years of human beings. No one, therefore, can know the mystery of the creation and cosmic manifestation simply by mental speculation. Let me go back here. Narayana Shayana Avakashasya Upari Api Anavritatva. Bhagavad Shaktiya Brahmana Srishtiyadi Shaktir Na Swata Iti Lokeshu Vyapayitum Purva Abhyasta Srishtiyadyapi Srishtiyadi Shilpasya Api Brahmanaha Vimohanamaha. It is simply by the potency of Bhagavan that Brahma attained the capacity to create it, so and so on. It is not due to any intrinsic capacity of Brahma. In order to inform the world, it is pointed out that Brahma became completely bewildered, even though he is quite used to this act of creating and working out the construction of this world, even as a matter of past habit. Tasmat salilat virudham udgatam udgatakanjam apashritasa iti vismay lokanam tattva atma chena viveda salilat katham bhutad yugante tyadi yugantashvasana pranayavani. No one, therefore, can know the mystery of the creation and cosmic manifestation simply by mental speculation. The human being is so limited in his capacity that without the help of the Supreme, he can hardly understand the mystery of the creation, continuance, and destruction of the cosmos by the will of the Lord. 18. Ka eshayosau hamabja prishta etat kuto vajam ananyatapsu asti hyadasta vihikinchanaita adhishtitam yatta satanubhavyam. Lord Brahma, in his ignorance, contemplated, who am I situated on top of this lotus? What is this solitary lotus on the vast water? And where from has it sprouted? There must be something downwards, and that from which this lotus has grown must be within the water. Yaha asau aham abjaprishte kamalopari varte. I am here, situated above a lotus. Esha kaha. And what is this lotus? Apsu varini ananyat ekameva etat abjam kutah kasmad vajatam. I am alone in the midst of this water. Actually, in the midst of this water, there is nothing but the lotus. How did it come about? He nishitamiha adastat kinchana kimapi vastu asti. Certainly, there must be something which is below, under the water. Yatra etat kamalam adhishtitam. Because this lotus must be situated on something. Tena adastat sata vartamanena maya. No, nishchitam bhatim. Nishchitavya. No, I am the only one who's existing. So now I should ascertain what is this on which this lotus is existing. Vidushaha tasya vitarkamaha. So in ignorance, he began to think. His thought process is now brought out here. Yosohabja Prishteshaka Ananyad Ekam Evetadabjam Kutova Jatam Yatraidadishkitam Tena Sata Vartmanena Numishitam Bhavyu. Say some Udvikshya iti Uttarenanvaya. So he started looking in all directions. This will come about now. Tathacha Shrutihi. And then this is all a paraphrase of Shruti statement. Actually, this whole description of creation and so on, these appear in different parts of the Upanishads. So, in Bhagavatam's repeated description of the universe, these different statements of the Upanishads are all clarified. So, those who are students of the Upanishads, they will be able to understand this more clearly. So, Pashyat Pushkara Parne Tishtan So Manyata Asti Chaitanyasmin Damadivishkati. His thought process is spelled out. The same, he saw that he was situated on within the leaves of a lotus. And then he started to think, what is this? On what is all of this situated? Okay, Shri Makam, 18 and 19 go together. Text 18 and 19. Ateva Sata Sudhya Maya Anubhavyam Tad Anubhavitumaka. He considered that he should himself clearly understand what is below. Saitam Udvikshya iti Uttarenanvaya. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, in previous purport, like Prabhupada is saying that with mental speculation, it is not possible to understand anything about the mystery of creation and maintenance, dissolution. So, this process of Aroha Pantha, I think, experimental knowledge, these people seem to be very much convinced that no, it is possible. So what gives them conviction? Why are they unable to digest this, that it's not possible for them to understand everything through their limited senses?
It is faith. Modern science is also built upon faith. They believe in certain things. They believe that we can attain knowledge through this. They don't have evidence that they can understand, but they believe in that. They want to believe in that because they see no other way to understand. There's only one way. We cannot believe in the paranormal. We cannot believe in the supernatural. We do not want to consider that possibility. So they are not interested in actual knowledge about this existence. They are interested in understanding whatever they can without invoking anything beyond that is uncontrollable. They just do not want to have to deal with anything which is beyond their control. So this explains why in Chicago, some years back, a UFO was spotted for more than 5 minutes in an airport above one building. Suddenly appeared from nowhere, suddenly disappeared. Thousands of people saw it. But the American public, with great reluctance, allowed this to be discussed in the news. Because it's just, it's an embarrassment. Anything which is beyond our control is an embarrassment. So they prefer not to think about these things. We are living in our cozy world within our control. Let us be happy with that world. So those who are serious about understanding reality will not think like this. They will think whether it is beyond control or within control, we need to know means we need to know. We need to understand means we need to understand. So they will investigate with an open mind. These people do not want. They have created their own intellectual imprisonment. What can be done about that? Okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
The subject matter of the speculations of Brahma in the beginning regarding the creation of the cosmic manifestation is still a subject matter for mental speculator. The most intelligent man is he who tries to find the cause of his personal existence and that of the whole cosmic creation, and thus tries to find the ultimate cause. If his attempt is properly executed with penance and perseverance, it is sure to be crowned with success. 19. Saitham udvikshya tatabjanala nadibhirantarjalamavivesha narvagatastat karnalanala nabhim vichinvams tad avindataja. Lord Brahma, thus contemplating, entered the water through the channel of the stem of the lotus. But in spite of entering the stem and going nearer to the navel of Vishnu, he could not trace out the root. Sahajaha Brahma itham eva udvikshya vicharya. So Brahma, after contemplating in this manner, tadabjannala nadibhihi tasya abjasya yannalam tasya nadibhihi antashchidraihi antarjalam ekarnava salila abhyantaram avivesha pravishta. He then entered the water through the stem of that lotus. The water means entered the water of the single ocean. Tat karnalanala nabhim tasya karnalasya padmasya yannalam tasya nabhim adhisthana vichinvam advesha. He wanted to find out the starting point of that lotus stem. Arvakata samipastha. So even though he came very close to the root of that stem, tat adhishthanam na vindata na prapa. He could not find out that starting point. Tasya cha bahirmukha pravritya mahata api kalena tat apraptimaha sa iti dvabhya. Then in 2 verses is pointed out that even after a long period of time, Lord Brahma, he could not attain the source of that lotus stem simply by engaging in activities of aversion. It means he did not surrender to the Supreme Lord. He was himself trying to investigate, which itself is a symptom of aversion to surrendering unto Lord Vishnu. That is pointed out in 2 verses beginning with this verse. So he entered into that lotus through various pores of that lotus stem. He entered into the lotus stem through the various pores. Tasya swaranalasya padmasya. Something was wrong. Not swaranalasya, varanalasya. Varanalasya padmasya. Yannalam tasya nabhim adhisthana chinmala vagdatopi tat tada namindata. At that time he could not get it. Bhagavad-ichcham vina sa abhimana purusha prayatnaha vaiphalyaya eva sya. Without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a man's great endeavor with an egoistic, aggressive attitude will simply lead about to failure. Iti pradarshayanaha. And he demonstrated this, Maitreya, by bringing about this history here. स इति नाड़ीभिः नाडीच्छिद्रै तस्य करणालस्य पद्मस्य यन्नालं तस्य नाभिम् अधिष्ठानं श्रीनारायणनाभिपद्मम्. So now the root of that lotus stem was the navel of Lord Sri Narayana. Parvagatah pitan nikatagatah pina vindanna prapta. So even though he came near that, he still could not reach it. Bhaktiya vina tat praptehe durghatavaditi bhava. The implication is, without devotion service unto Lord Sri Narayana, it is not possible to attain him. By dint of one's personal endeavor, one may go nearer to the Lord, but without the Lord's mercy, one cannot reach the ultimate point. Such understanding of the Lord is possible only by devotional service, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 18.95. Bhaktya mam avijanati yavanishchasmit tattvataha. 20. Tamasya pare viduratma sargam vichinvato bhut sumhal trinemi yo deha bhajam bhayamirayana parikshinotyayur rajasya heti. O Vidra, while searching for the cause of his existence in that way, Brahma reached his ultimate time. Time is the eternal wheel in the hand of Vishnu and generates the fear of death in the mind of the living entity. He Vidura, O Vidura, Ajasya Vishnu, Yah Thnemi Kalaha Hetihi Sudarshana Rupam Shatram Dehavajam Naranam Apare Tamasi Bahirmukha Vrittva Ghore Jnana Andhakare Bhayam Irayana Utpadayan Ayuhu Parikshinoti Atmasargam Swakaranam Vichinvataha Anveshayataha Ramanaha Api Sumahan Samvatsara Shatatmakaha Sakalaha Abhut Atikrantam. A long period of time passed as Brahma was searching for his own cause. What caused him? So now that time is described here. That time is actually the weapon of Sudarshan. And that brings about fear in all the human beings who have attained bodies and who are within unending darkness, which means they're in the darkness of spiritual ignorance, which is terrible because they are averse to Him, and that reduces their lifespan. This is the weapon of the unborn Lord Vishnu, Darshana Rupam Shastra. Dehavajam Naranam Bhayam Utpadena Samvatsara Shatam Ityuktam. In other words, 100 years passed. Atmas Swargam Sargam Swakarantam Mrityu Sannithimirayan Kathayan. So it is this weapon of time which talks about their proximity to death. And it reduces their lifespan of 100 years. Ajasya Vishnu Hetihi Sudasya Shastramsha Swarupa. It is an expansion of Lord Vishnu's weapon, Sudarshana. 21. Tato nivritto pratilabdha kama swadhishnamasadya punassadeva shanai jitashvasan nivritta chitto nyashidadaruha samadhi yoga. Thereafter, being unable to achieve the desired destination, he retired from such searching and came back again to the top of the lotus. Thus, controlling his breathing, he concentrated his mind on the Supreme Lord. Then he stopped. this activity of searching. Pratilabdha kamaha, pratilabdha kamaha, manoratha yena sa, because he could not get what he wanted. Sadeva Brahma, and then Lord Brahma. Puraha swadhishnyam padmam asadhya. Then he returned to his abode, which was the lotus. Shanaihi kramashaha jitashwasan nivritta chittaha jitena shwasena nivrittam samyatam chittam yasya sa. Then he controlled his mind by controlling his breathing, step by step. Ataha arudha samadhi yoga, arudha ashrita samadhi yoga yena tathavutasan. Then he came to the point of meditation in samadhi on the Lord. Yashi dat upavivesha. So in that way, he sat down. Antarmukhataya tu bhagavantam drishtavan ityaha dvabhyam. And then in 2 verses, the Maitreya points out that when he became introspective through the discipline of yoga, then he saw Bhagavan. That's brought out in text 21-22. Tato anveshanan nivrittan na pratilabdha kama manoratha swadhiknyam padmam jutashvasin nivrittam samyatam chittam yasya ateva arudha ashita samadhi yoga yena tathabhuta sanyashi dalbhavivesha. Arudha samadhi yoga iti yat kimapi sarvakaranam vastu syat tanmayi. मयि आविर्भूति इति आशापूर्विका सामान्य आकारेण एव तद् अनन्यवृत्तिता समाधियोगः अत्र केयः विशेष आकार अज्ञानात्. Now here, Yoga Goswami makes an interesting point that so he sat down in confidence to meditate on the Lord, but at that time he was in ignorance about the specific features about the Supreme Being. So therefore, we should understand that at that time, Brahma's thought process was like this. Whatever may be the cause of everything, may that cause reveal itself to me with the hope that this can be done, this can happen. In a very generic manner, he became focused on this. This is the Samadhi Yoga. Tyaktasva abhimanasya tasya tad ikshaya tad dhyanena tad praptimaha. So when he gave up his attitude of aggression and pride, he then attained the Supreme Lord by the will of the Lord, by his meditation on the Lord. That is stated here. Samadhi Bhagavad Dhyanotham Chitta Ekagryam. So he focused his mind by meditating on the Supreme Lord. So it is by symptom that you understand. It is by symptom of the Supreme Being that you understand whether a person is actually meditating on the Supreme Lord or not. So here we see that Brahma was meditating on the Supreme Cause. So now that Supreme Cause is Lord Narayana. There is no other Supreme Cause. And therefore Lord Narayana reveals himself. It is not that you need to know that the Supreme Cause is Lord Narayana. Same way we see Gajendra also. Gajendra prays to the Supreme Being, and the Supreme Being responded. And that Supreme Being is Sri Narayana. Samadhi involves concentrating the mind upon the Supreme Cause of all, even if one is unaware of whether his actual nature is personal, impersonal, or localized. Karanam tu dhyeyaha. The object of one's meditation should be the cause of everything. That is from Vedanta Sutra. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is certainly a form of devotional service, smaranam. To cease from personal sense endeavors and to concentrate on the Supreme cause is a sign of self-surrender. And when self-surrender is present, that is a sure sign of devotional service. Each and every living entity needs to engage in devotional service to the Lord if he wishes to understand the ultimate cause of his existence. So it is on this basis that we keep saying that all monotheists around the world, even those who do not accept Vedic authority, are actually engaged in different grades of devotional service to Lord Krishna. 22. Kalena sojah purushayushabhi pravritta yogena virudha bodhaha swayam tadantar hridayeva bhatam apashyata apashyata yanna purvam. At the end of Brahma's 100 years, when his meditation was complete, he developed the required knowledge. And as a result, he could see within his heart the Supreme, whom he could not see before with the greatest endeavor. Purushayusha, Divya Samvatsara Shatena, Kalena, Abhipravritta Yogena, Abhipravrittaha, Susampannaha, Yaha Yoga, Tena, Virudha Bodhaha, Virudha, Uppannaha Bodhaha, Yasya Saha, Sahaja Brahma. So that unborn Brahma, his enlightenment came about when his meditation was executed nicely for the lifespan of a human being. Divya Samvatsara Shatena, or 100 celestial years. Yat Bhagavat Swarupam Purvam Vichin Vannapina Pashyata Pashyat Yadava. And he realized, he perceived that feature of Bhagavan that he could not see even though he was trying to see. Tat swayam antar hridaye hridaya abhyantare avabhatam parisputam apashyata. He very clearly saw this Supreme Personality of Godhead deep within his own heart. Purushaisha samvatsara shatena kalena. Okay. Purushaisha varsha shatena iti Sri Maitreya vartamana kali yuga apekshaya praha iti geya. Now this 100 years, the lifespan of a man refers to 100 years because Sri Maitreya is speaking during Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, human beings live for 100 years. Vasutata Uttara Granthe Bhuya Tvam Tapa Adishta Ityadi Sri Bhagavad Vakya Anantaram Dashamadhyaye Virinchahapi Tatha Chakre Divyam Varsha Shatam Tapa Ityuktya Etadeva Gyayam Yattu Dvitiye Divyam Sahasrabdham Ityadi Uktam Tad Brahma Kalpagatam Gyayam. So in the 9th chapter of this canto, Lord Vishnu will tell him, you must engage in tapas, austerity. Then Virincha or Lord Brahma also did that. In the 10th chapter, we will receive the information that he performed austerities for 100 divine years, celestial years. But in the 2nd canto, we saw that he engaged in austerities for 1,000 celestial years. But that was a description of Brahmakalpa. Abhipravritta yogena pakadasha prapta bhagavad dhyanena dhyane smanno darshitam ta upasakanam ityuparishtadutte. We will learn later on that Brahma, he saw the Supreme Lord when his meditation on the Supreme Being attained a state of maturity. Yatsva aspada kamala adhishthanam purvam vichinmanapina apashyat. tat swayam evantarhridaya bhatam apashya. So that source of the lotus, which was his shelter, which he could not see even after so much of search, that source, Lord Narayana, he himself appeared deep within his heart, and that he perceived. The Supreme Lord can be experienced only through the process of devotion service and not by one personal endeavor in mental speculation. The age of Brahma is calculated in terms of Divya years, which are distinct from the solar years of human beings. The Divya years are calculated in the Bhagavad Gita. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidupu. Brahma's one day is equal to 1,000 times the aggregate of the 4 yugas, calculated to be 4,300,000 years. On that basis, Brahma meditated for 100 years before he could understand the supreme cause of all causes. And then he wrote the Brahma Samhita, which is approved and recognized by Lord Chaitanya, in which he sings Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. One has to wait for the mercy of the Lord before one can either render service unto him or know him as he is. Brahma reached his ultimate time. What time is this? He reached his ultimate time means that he saw he was meditating for that period of time. He came to the end of the time for which is the end for human beings. That much amount of time he spent in meditation. Is knowledge required to see the Lord within our heart? Knowledge is very helpful. Knowledge is also the basis for every endeavor. So naturally, knowledge is also required. Relevant knowledge is required. Then 23. Mrinala Gaura Yatashesha Bhoga Paryanka Ek Purusham Shayanam Phanatapatra Yutamurdharatna Gibhir Patadhvanti Yuganta Toye. Brahma could see that on the water there was a gigantic lotus-like white bedstead, the body of Sheshanaga, on which the personality of Godhead was lying alone. The whole atmosphere was illuminated by the rays of the jewels bedecking the hoods of Sheshanaga, and in that illumination dissipated all the darkness of those regions. Pratapatra yutamudhar ratna jivi praiva atapatrani taihi ayutaha savadahi yuktaha ye murdhanaha tesham ratnani kiritastani tesham dyubhi prabhavi patadhvanta yuganta toye दूरीकृत अंधकारे प्रलयकालीने जले. So now the darkness of devastation regarding the water, that was all removed. It was so brilliant because of the rays emanating from the helmets of the hoods of Anantashesha. Mrinala Gaura Yatashesha Bhoga Paryanke Mrinalavad Gauraha Cha Asau Ayataha Cha Yashesha Tasya Bhoga Deha Saiva Paryanka Tasmin. And that Anantashesha was white, was like he was a white bedstead, and he was like a lotus. Ekam Purusham Apashyat Dityan Shangraha. We saw this person lying on that bedstead. Yadapashyat Tadvarnayati. He now describes what was seen, what he saw. Mranalayati Navabhi, in 9 verses beginning with the current verse. We hear that Gauranga Das Babaji was illiterate, yet he possessed all Vedic knowledge. How is that possible? Yasya deve parabhakti yatha deve tatha gurau tasya iti kathita hyartha prakashante mahatmanaha. So he possessed Vedic knowledge. It's not that he was. There's a difference between being illiterate and being ignorant. He was not ignorant. Otherwise, why would he tell Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, you should stop every activity except the preaching of the Shatsandarbha of Jiva Goswami. If he has not even read the Shatsandarbha of Jiva Goswami, how is he going to tell Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that that should be the actual activity he should be doing? Okay. Navaswapi apashyaditi asyaivam. In all the 9 verses, we should understand that all the 9 verses are a description of what Brahma saw. Mrinalavad Gauraha cha asau ayataha cha yasheshaha tasya bhoga deha sa eva paryanka tasmi tatrasthite paryanke pranatapatre ayuktaah sarvatah yukta ye murthanaha tesham ratnani kiritasthan. So the jewels on the helmets of the hoods of Anantashesha, they removed the illumination, through their illumination, removed the darkness. Tadeva vastu varanayati navavi. So what he saw is being described in 9 verses. So he saw that this Lord was situated on that water of devastation. 24. Preksham Kipantam Haritopaladre Sandhya Vrniver Ururukma Murdhna Ratno Dadharau Shatisau Manasya Vanasrajo Venu Bhujangripankre. The luster of the transcendental body of the Lord mocked the beauty of the coral mountain. The coral mountain is very beautifully dressed by the evening sky, but the yellow dress of the Lord mocked its beauty. That is gold on the summit of the mountain, but the Lord's helmet, bedecked with jewels, mocked it. The mountains, waterfalls, herbs, etc., with a panorama of flowers, seem like garlands, but the Lord's gigantic body and his hands and legs decorated with jewels, pearls, tulsi leaves, and flower garlands mocked the scene on the mountain. Haritopaladre, Sandhyabranivai, Preksham Shipantam, Ururukma Murdhana, Ratnodadaro, Shadisau, Vanasya, Vanasraja, Venu, Jangri Padman, Preksham Shipantam. This entire translation is based on, you can see Sridhar Swami's explanation. Harita Upala Adrehe, Marakata Shilamaya Parvatasya Preksham Shobham Shipantam, Swalavanya Atishayana Tiraskurvantam. The Supreme Lord's beauty was so great that it mocked the beauty of the coral mountain and so on. Ayamartha, Yadim Tasman Malaya Vastita Ratnadiya Bhavanti Venavacha Bhujaiva. Okay, and this is all. Let me clarify. Nature's panoramic beauty, which strikes one with wonder, may be taken as a perverted reflection of the transcendental body of the Lord. One who is therefore attracted by the beauty of the Lord is no longer attracted by the beauty of material nature, although he does not minimize its beauty. In the Bhagavad Gita 2.59, it is explained that one who is attracted by Param, the Supreme, is no longer attracted by anything inferior. 25. Ayamato vistarata swamana dehena lokatraya sangrahena vichitra divya bharanam shukanam kritashriya pashtata veshyanteham. His transcendental body, unlimited in length and breadth, occupied the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. His body was self-illuminated by unparalleled dress and variegatedness and was properly ornamented. आयामतः दैर्घ्येन विस्तरतः च लोकत्रय संग्रहेण त्रैलोक्य व्यापिना स्वमानदेहेन लोकत्रय संग्रहेण. The Supreme Lord, both by length and breadth, contained the three planetary systems. Vichitti divrya bharanam shukana kritashriya apashrita veshadeha. He thought that his body was self-illuminated by the rays of the variegated transcendental ornaments which addressed his transcendental body. So even though the Lord himself is so pleasing, apashrita veshaha, svikrita alankara deha yasyatam apashyan, still he had accepted decorations for his body. यदैव यं यं वेषमिच्छति तदैव सत्यसङ्कल्पत्वात् तं प्राप्नोति इति अर्थः. Pashrita vesha. The idea is that whatever ornament he wants, because he is Satya Sankalpa, whatever he wills become reality, instantly he attains that ornament for his body. Brahma noticed all this. The length and breadth of the transcendental body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead could only be measured by his own measurement because he is all pervading throughout the complete cosmic manifestation. Ayamata dairghyena vistarataha swamana. This can only be measured by his own standard of measurement. The beauty of material nature is due to his personal beauty, yet he is always magnificently dressed and ornamented to prove his transcendental variegatedness, which is so important in the advancement of spiritual knowledge. 26. Pumsam swakama yaviviktamargair abhyatyatam kama dudhangri padmam pradarshyantam kripaya nakhendu mayukha vinnam gulicharu patram. The Lord showed his lotus feet by raising them. His lotus feet are the source of all awards achieved by those who worship him in pure devotional service, free from all material contamination. Splendid transcendental rays emanated from his moon-like toenails and the nails of his petal-like fingers. Brahma clearly saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was exceptionally beautiful. We'll continue tomorrow. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः. Come on, there's some question somewhere.